Good afternoon. I'm Luke. I'm the Managing Director of Digital Ethos. I'm here to talk to you today about scaling up with momentum. I've been running Digital Ethos now for 6 years, and it's been a real journey, to be honest. Started 6 years ago in my bedroom, very much as a lifestyle business. I, at the time, was working with freelancers all over the planet, working some really bizarre hours to communicate with those freelancers. And the thing that I found was that the first 3 years was extremely difficult. I found it really taxing, very difficult when it came to sort of personal relationships. My own sort of, social life suffered quite a lot as well. I was really sort of clocking in sort of 12 to 15 hours every day, and was struggling to get the right traction, the traction that I really wanted from the business. And the thing that I realised that was missing about 3 years ago was true momentum and focus. When I really sort of moved my focus and wasn't 1 foot in, 1 foot out and scared of taking risks, and I was fully committed and focused on Digital Ethos 3 years ago, everything transformed. So I want to take you through some of my tips today for how to create momentum, how to scale up, and just to give you a little bit more background about Digital Ethos, where we are as a company, so that there's some credibility there. 3 years ago, which is, I guess, the birth of this momentum and this sort of focus stage for me. The business at the time was turning over a couple of $100,000 a year. We had no staff, all just freelancers globally, about 10, 12 freelancers. I'd had a vision, an original vision after working for other agencies, that I wanted to bridge the gap, bridge the void that sort of sits between agencies and businesses. If any of you are business owners today and you work with agencies, some of you or most of you have probably felt this at some point. There's naturally, and I don't know why, some sort of no man's land in the middle between agencies and clients, where there's a bit of mistrust. I think there's a need for clients to spend money with agencies, or a feeling of need, but quite often there's a disparity between communication, output, where the effort's going, where the money's being spent, whether it's good value. And I hated that, working in agencies, and I really wanted to set up Digital Ethos with the vision and the goal of rectifying some of that pain area and really building a bridge across that no man's land, so that the relationship could be fluid, the agency could understand the DNA of the customer, really understand what the objectives for revenue and for growth were, and get into the mindset of the customer. So those first 3 years that I mentioned, where I was using freelancers, I didn't have that duty of care. I wasn't able to get that quality of service, and I was sort of failing on that goal. But the last 3 years, we've gone from strength to strength. I hired our first full-time employee in January 2018. Here we are in January 2021. We're now at 32 members of the team. We've got 3 offices in the UK. We're the UK's fastest growing agency. Revenue and the business has gone up by over 100% for each of those 3 years. So it's been an incredible journey, and I really want to share with you these tips and ideas on how I've managed to build that sort of traction and that sort of momentum. So top 10 tips for creating momentum. And throughout this presentation, I'm gonna reference sort of my experience and how I've come to sort of take these learnings and actually put it into real world scenarios. But I think one thing that's true for all of us, it's that growing anything in life, especially a business, is all about momentum. You look at the stock market, there's different metrics and bits that we look at, from quality to price to the time that you buy in, etc. But the one thing that if you speak to any investment banker or you read online about any of the sort of top tips for shares that are doing well, it's always the ones that have got the momentum behind them, that have got the buzz and have got that drive. It's the wind in the sails that makes a huge difference. And what you find with a lot of startups and businesses, startups often have lots of momentum because they're exciting. The owners are driven, they're passionate, they're going at it hell for leather, they're telling everybody their story when they get a chance. They're so brought in and so in love with their new idea that naturally momentum and pace starts to gather with them. And I think quite often what you see is the ones that don't then go on to be successful, they somewhere along the line drop that momentum, or the wind comes out of their sails. And I think what's really important is to understand the principles and the key things that help to keep you on track from a momentum point of view, and then we can avoid those dips and those peaks and troughs. So the first one I'm going to cover is creating a plan. Now, this one can sometimes feel a bit obvious. We all probably start business or go into a business with a business plan, or certainly an idea that we start to put into some sort of workable plan. But it's interesting, when I speak to a lot of business owners, I do advisory positions, and I sort of look at what's mapped out and what the owner's plans are. They normally consist of a 6 or 12 month plan. Really looking further and further on isn't something that they do, because it's very hard. You're still quite reactive to what's happening day to day. But I think mapping out a plan for where you want to be in 3 years is absolutely essential to staying on course and staying sane, actually, most importantly, because each day you know what you need to do and where you want to get to, and it helps you then to, even with the good and the bad days that come along, you can structure yourself a little bit better. I'm a real lover of a saying, which is failure to prepare is exactly the same as preparing to fail. It's a little bit like jumping in a car, driving down the road with no directions or idea of where you're going, and hoping that you reach a destination at some point. Whereas actually, if you map out the journey before you start on it, and you've got an idea that you might want to stop at a few places, but you've got a real idea of where you actually want to end up and where you're going to sort of rest your head at the end of the day, you can stay on track and you can get there. So creating a plan is really important, and I think putting down on paper as well and sharing that plan with your team, being really proactive about making sure that you constantly revisit the plan to make sure that everything, all the decisions you're making and the ideas that you have that will naturally come up as you move forward, always relate back to the plan. And a lot of people have said to me, well, can you adapt the plan? Can you change things? Absolutely you can, but you've got to start off with something that's solid, that keeps you on track. So this one I love, and every year I sit down with my team at the start of the year in January. We have a big sort of sales meeting where we get together, we look at the successes, the takeaways, the learnings, we do a bit of SWOT analysis to see where we want to be for that year. And a lot of people say, well, what the hell is a BHAG? Well, it's a big, hairy, audacious goal, and it's one of these goals that deep down inside you, you want to achieve, but you actually think might be extremely difficult to get there. Some industry experts, books that I've read, they talk about the 10x principle. So it's always like taking where you want to be and thinking about it 10 times beyond. Because even if you only got 5 times beyond, you're doing a lot better than just aiming for the 1 times. And it's about really picking a goal that's going to keep you true to it throughout the year. So I do this with the team so that we're all aligned and we all understand where we want to get to. Ours at DE for this year is to keep a retention rate. So this is our clients, keeping them with us for the full year at 95%, which is absolutely incredible for the industry if we manage to do that. Currently our retention is about 85%. So we've got to do some, we've got to go some, we've got to keep improving, keep adding more value, and making sure that we're able to keep going back to our why, which is to be able to become an extension of the client's team and really build with them and work with them. So in order to get to that 95%, we've got to do it. We know that the industry average is below 40%, so it puts us in a completely different position to our peers. But also it's to continue at our 100% growth rate. So 100% growth rate, 95% retention, huge, massive, audacious goals. But if we achieve them and we get there, the team are completely brought in. We'll have a big party and we'll celebrate, and we'll all benefit from the successes that will bring. So really think about what is that big goal that you want to achieve for the year. Relate it to the team, obviously share it, and all get behind it. You know what they say, either fix the problem or stop complaining about it. If you're in a business and you've started a business, or you're working in a business as an employee and you don't love what you do, you truly don't enjoy what you do day to day, please leave that job. You need to feel passionate every single day. I think we've all been there. You wake up in the morning, sometimes certain jobs, and you sort of dragging yourself out. You don't want to get up. The motivation starts to slip. If you're going to go through your day feeling like that, you are never going to have that wind behind the sails or the momentum that you need to get traction. only do things in life that you love. Remove fear. Now, in order for momentum to scale and to keep growing and to keep being successful, you need to remove fear from your day-to-day. I struggled with this originally, making decisions, taking risks, taking financial steps. The reason it took me 3 years to step out of having a freelance staff base is because it's fairly non-committal. If I didn't have the work, couldn't afford to pay the bills, I could just cut the freelancer and I wasn't tied in. So the day that I decided to remove fear from my life and take a chance and start hiring staff, well, it's transformed everything that I do now. So my business has grown, massively over the last 3 years because of removing fear from the day-to-day. And don't get me wrong, I'm human. There's still times when big invoice lands on my desk or an opportunity passes us and we're thinking about, is it the right thing to do? And, you might have the odd sleepless night. But one thing I can tell you is that making a decision, sticking to it, no matter how big and scary it might seem at the time, will always work out better for you than just sitting and not taking chances and procrastinating. Remove fear, take chances, keep momentum. A big thing that I try to educate my team on all the time is stepping outside the box and thinking a little bit different, being different. Now there's a saying that there is no new business ideas. They're all the same ideas repackaged. Now I don't truly believe that, but what I do believe is that we are in a market, in a world where there is so much choice. Okay, most business types have been done or are being done to some degree, or there's a competitor online, or if you look at the search engine results pages on Google or Bing or whatever search engine it is, you're in a competitive space for every single keyword you want to go for. And if you're not, there's no search and there's no volume to make you any money from that anyway. So you're constantly up against it, and you're in a competitive market. In the UK alone, there's nearly 5,000 digital marketing agencies. So for Digital Ethos to stand out, we had to really, really look at our principles, look at our why, and start working out how we could be different and how we could approach things differently. And our sort of, our point of difference was very much to focus on that extension of a client's team, bridge the gap, do workshops with them up front, spend time. I always refer to it as my team, that if you imagined you got, your first day at a new job and you go into that job, you're going to ask lots of what you might feel are silly questions at the time to really understand the ins and outs of the business, who in the business is responsible for what. We do exactly the same thing. We ask all those silly and awkward questions so that in the end we know exactly how it functions so that we can progress. So that's our point of difference. Most agencies do not do that. They still act as a third party sat separately. Find your point of difference and please discuss it with your team, discuss it with your friend, discuss it with your family. Really make sure there is something that separates you from the pack so that you can keep momentum and you can keep singing from your own sheet, not from somebody else's. This is probably the single most important one of these tips, in my opinion. Investing in your team and consistently investing in your team is absolutely critical to ongoing success. So you might be lucky enough to get some momentum at the start because you've got passion and you're doing well. But when the hard times come, it's your team around you, the people that believe what you believe and the people that take your dream forward and that are living your dream with you, that will make all the difference. COVID has been a real example of that for me with my team. They have absolutely stepped up to the mark this last year, and it's because I've gone out and found people that fully believe in my dream, my vision, and it's now their dream and their vision. It's ours. It's a shared dream. So what I do is I hire for attitude and I train for skill, and I treat people well enough that they could, and train them well enough that they could leave and go to any other agency, but hopefully treat them well enough that they want to stay. And I think it's really key. So train them well enough they can leave, treat them well enough they'd want to stay, and you'll always have a really loyal and amazing team around you. So remove negative energy. I think we've all had those people along the way, whether we're starting a business, we're in a job, you're sat next to somebody in the office that can be a bit negative, can be a bit down, can moan a bit about the business, might not have, a great home life at the moment. They've got an issue with their girlfriend or boyfriend or wife or husband, whatever it might be. Remove negative energy from your life. And if that means you need to ask your employer to move seats, awkward as that might be at the time, or you need to literally cut people out of your life, remove negative energy. If you want to keep momentum and you want to keep scaling and you want to keep that energy and that passion and that drive, you've got to get rid of negativity. I have signs in the office. It's a bit cringe, I know, but it says no negativity allowed here. And you know what? When I first put them up, the team were like, oh God, what is he doing? But now, if somebody starts to be negative, people point at the signs. People will mention it. As cheesy as it sounds, it works. Now, you might not need to go to that extent, but just start small and start removing negative energy from your day. And I'm not just talking people. We as people sometimes can be extremely negative as well, right? So I wake up some days and I'm in a bit of a mood, or woken up on the wrong side of the bed, whatever it might be. Have a word with yourself, count to 10, try and refocus, because that negativity that you carry with you, no matter what it is, will start to infect other people. It's like the COVID of our minds. We are able to spread negativity or positivity. Positivity should win every time, especially if you want to keep momentum. So work smarter, not harder. What I'm talking about here is that a lot of business owners and a lot of people in senior positions within businesses take on way too much. Now, I've been an absolute mug for this in the past. I've been a HR manager. I've been an accountant. I've been a bookkeeper. I've been a trainer. I've been a recruiter. I've been a salesperson. I've been basically every role in my business I've done. Now, in some ways, you could say that's quite a positive, because I would never ask anybody in my business to do anything I wouldn't do myself. I could say that wholeheartedly. However, it's not really very smart, and it's extremely hard work, and it's lots of hours, and you don't really keep momentum or traction, because you're taking away from the things that you like to do, and you're doing the things that you probably really don't like to do. So be smart. Hire people that love those things that you don't like. Surround yourself with those people, and people that can help you keep momentum with the things that you love. Use technology and use tools to free up time. So I went 3-4 years in this business without even having a HR tool. As soon as we put a HR tool in, it pulled me back 4 or 5 hours of my week, where people are able to self-administer their time off, and I just have to approve it once a week. I'll jump in and just approve times off. Sick days, they pop in there themselves. Holiday requests, I update all of the staff manuals in there. Just think smart, reduce clutter, and focus on the things that you love to do. I think letting things evolve in the business is really important. Change is absolutely normal, but as human beings, quite often we're quite reluctant to allow change to happen. It can feel a little bit out of our control, and I think sometimes when we feel out of control, we worry. But let things evolve naturally, because momentum has this amazing ability to start filtering off in all different directions. You can channel it back in, but as your team grows and as your service offerings grows, or your products, allowing the momentum to spread, to really push those in a positive direction, is really important. So just go with the flow, but keep focused on that goal of that 3-year plan, and you'll stay on the right course. This one is absolutely critical, and it's sort of my final sort of top 10 tip, but it's to commit fully to what you do. When I first started Digital Ethos, you can tell from the backstory that I've given you today, I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I was still freelancing. Those first 3 years, I had freelancers working for me. As soon as I stepped into the ring and I was fully focused, and I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew what my goals were, and I'd mapped out my 3-year plan, had my financial plans, I'm now literally realizing them. In fact, we're realizing them faster than I ever thought would be possible. Digital Ethos this year will, be a multi-million-pound turnover business. We've got some incredible national and multinational brands as well as SMEs. We've got this huge variety of client base and the ability to work with clients from all over the world. And the only reason that's been possible is because I've had laser focus and been fully committed to what I'm doing. Whether you're an employee, a business owner, or in between, make sure you fully commit to what you're doing and you will be successful and momentum will be with you. So I just wanted to finish on this slide here because this is my vision, or our team vision at Digital Ethos. And I think it's really important to create a unified vision that you as a business owner and your team around you can really emulate towards and always go back to. So this is ours, and it's something that I've worked on collectively with my team. So our vision is to think bigger. So always go bigger and beyond where we feel like we could be where we are today. So always striving for bigger and greater things. Be better. So that's better in our delivery, better in our customer service, better in our communication. Work together. So we're committed to helping to train, share, nurture each other to become better together. And then become extraordinary. This is our new Digital Ethos sort of strapline. What it does is it makes, every time I see that word and every time I see become extraordinary, and my team as well, it makes us remember the other things above. So in order to be extraordinary, you need to think bigger, you need to be better, you need to work together. So have a shared vision with your team, build one out that everybody can unify behind, and you'll find that you'll stay on track as well, and that momentum will be with you. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy the rest of the festival. I will be doing a Q&A a little bit later, so please do drop in. You can ask me anything in relation to entrepreneurship, the business, anything basically. I'll be at your disposal. I look forward to seeing you then. Thanks and bye for now.